You can start when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, this is your outlet for the outside power, and it's now on a complete separate circuit, all hardwired with conduit through the house into the circuit board. Have this done. This one is that one, and this one is the lead out to the pool and the rest of the yard power.
Okay.
So all your wires run out. Try to examine here. It comes down here, goes over to here, along the fence line on a ditch about this wide by that deep. So there's plumbing in there and there's electrical in there as well. And it leads out to here.
Okay.
Come back. And the 220 for the pump for the well is also on a separate circuit. It's also buried here.
Okay.
And it and the sorry, let me catch up with it. And the 220 for the well has a separate circuit on the circuit breaker outside, so it's into your main line.
Okay.
This is where it all comes together, right here.
All right.
So this apparatus right here is what it says pump relay start. You got to have that to kick a pump over. It gives amps to the pump. So this doesn't have to mess with it. This is a 220 circuit through here, and it runs from this into the orbit box, which controls the sprinkler system. This is really self-explanatory. It's easier to go online, and there's a tutorial in here. Like for instance, let's say I wanted to start the pump, just to start it. Like I wanted to use this, or not sprinkler, but faucets. I just hit manual.
There we go. Okay.
So to turn it back off again, just go to off.
Okay.
So there's a process we'll go through. Just that's how simple that is.
Okay.
But you got to remember to turn it back to auto, because it's not going to run unless it's on auto.
Right.
So let's say on the sprinkler system itself, I have this set. I don't know if you can get a close up of that or not. Okay, at 7 p.m. Wait a second, 7 p.m. it's going to run, and it's going to run all 4 segments for a certain amount of time, and it does it every day. Okay, and then in the morning it comes on program 1. Okay, let's see what A is going to do. So program 1 comes on at 4:57 in the morning.
Okay.
And it runs for, I believe that one runs for 20 minutes per section. So it gets really a lot of water, which that's why it's so green.
Yeah.
To run this, to set this, like I said, a self-implant on YouTube. This sets the clock, what the clock is. This sets the dates, the date of the year. This sets the time, 4 a.m. That's when it starts, 4 a.m.
Okay.
And it runs all the second. And then this runs the run time. So number 1 is 15 minutes. Number 2, which is showing right there, 15 minutes. 15, all 4. Yeah. Okay. So that's when that is. So how often? There's little squares on the bottom. Like I said, go to YouTube and get a tutorial, then it'll help you. It's really, really easy. Budget, I've never used budget. I'm not sure what that is. So you can reset everything and get it right back to auto. Right. So let's go to this pump here so you know what's going on. This is the actual manifold, if you can kind of get a shot of it. There's 4 different sprinkler heads, so 4 different sections open up at a different time according to the clock. So for 15 minutes, number 1 down here will run, then it'll shut off. Number 2 will run. Number 3 consecutively. There we go.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
And it's all buried, and it runs all along the fence line.
All along the fence.
So
okay.
This is for, you could take this off and replace it. It needs to be replaced. It's just the insulation for the winter.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to not run your sprinklers, but you want to run this faucet. Okay. You would turn this off. That doesn't allow water to go to the sprinkler heads.
Right.
And you can just turn on your pump, turn this on, and you got a place for your hose.
Got it.
Make sure that you reverse the process, because if you leave that closed and the sprinklers go off, it'll burn your pump out. So you always go back and just go backwards. So let's say, for instance, you want to have faucets, which we'll show later. There's two separate faucets on this system. You would do this again. You would close this one so there's no water going into that. You would open this one, which allows all the water to go to these faucets. And how to run that once you've turned all these valves. Let me close that. The valves is to come to your sprinkler system. When you shut all that down and you hit manual, that turns it on.
Okay. Yeah.
Really, really simple, but like I say, it's very crucial that you reverse the process. Close what you don't want, open what's needed.
Done. Okay.
And and then you'll go to shut this off once it's running. The whole time you're trying to do irrigation or whatever with a hose, you got to go to off to turn it off.
Turn
and
it
then back to auto.
Okay.
Okay, and this is all brand new too, and I'll explain this. This is your first outlet, okay? Now this all comes from the house.
All right.
It's all watertight. $390 later,
Yeah.
I got this all put in.
Okay.
So this is all new conduit that comes out and goes to the pool.
Okay.
This goes to the outlets that are back on the other part of the property. This is your mainline power coming in to run the whole thing.
Right.
So from here back there's a line running right, as you can see. Maybe, well, you can't. Yeah, you can. You can see where it's been kind of replaced.
Yeah.
This was the problem.
Oh, and
Okay.
that's what you got fixed.
So what what we did is that I told the electrician find it. So he got it. He said, "You got to dig a ditch." So I dug a ditch right here. Relayed another line to the pool. So you can kind of see where it's been done. On this situation, on the pool, you got to come over the top.
Okay.
So here's your whole new box that was all brand new put in. I saved this because it wasn't broken, so I put a brand new one in. This runs your timer. So what you do on the timer, I've got it. It's a 12-hour cycle you want to run it on because of the chlorine and keeps it going. This is the digital clock. It'll turn off now at about 6:30. This runs the on and the off button. But while it's in this mode, the only way to turn it off is to unplug it or turn this dial. But this is set for the current time and everything. So in a half hour or about an hour, it'll shut off. So here's your pump. Here's your filter, one of the filters. This is the first line of defense out of the pool. Stuff that comes in settles in this basket, which you can unscrew, take that basket out, clean it. There's no debris in there, so I'd leave it till you see something in there. This is your sand filter. So a sand filter is much better than any other filter because you can change the sand and you don't do like paper or anything. It's sand filter. So I do it. See, this is bringing it. I just did it in June when I brought the pool back up. I reset all the sand.
Okay.
This little hoodie here is the poundage per square inch that's running through the line.
Okay.
This keep down here. This is the drain. If you have to change the sand, you want to unplug that and let the water drain out, or you've got problems because you got too much volume in there. To take the sand off, you got to take the top off. When everything's shut down, by the way, you don't run anything. Don't try to unloosen everything, or you're gonna have water going everywhere.
Yeah.
So this over here is your discharge, and I'll explain what the discharge means in a minute. This is your exit. So the water's coming in, going through that filter, then into this filter, then back out to the pool, clean water.
Gotcha.
It's on the bottom.
Okay.
So I'll demonstrate this. I'll turn this off. I can fix it later. Okay, now that we've got this shut off, if you kind of get a close up here, this says filter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You do not change this with the pump running.
Okay.
So in order to backwash, which should be done at least once a month,
Okay.
I have hoses that attach to this, and we'll explain that in a minute, that you kind of just, so when you're cleaning it, it needs to be clean, you know, if it needs to be cleaned. Like I told him in the thing, if you want to, you can look for a service.
Right.
Sometimes it's a little cheaper and less hassle.
Yeah.
So what you do on the backwash is you push this handle down. As you can see, water's coming out. Turn on the pump, and it pumps out the dirty water in the filter. So then when you're done with that, you come and you rinse it, and it backwashes it again in the system. And then to close it, you put it there.
Okay.
So if you shut down for the winter, you can just go and shut down and it'll drain the line.
Oh.
Okay? So now, turn it back on because I got to go all the way around. He can change, I mean, you guys can change this, but this works really well. It's a, you know, inexpensive system. So, I think we're right about here, there. So there's an on and an auto. On means it's on all the time. Auto, it'll run on the clock. So, conversely on that, these are what they call quick releases. So let's say you wanted to change, God forbid the motor went out, or you had to do something. You can disconnect these, and they require a wrench because they are tight.
Okay.
Disconnect that one, and if you have to take the motor away from the sandbox, it's the same way here. You can undo it. So everything you can lift out, or just move this out, and whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So it's this, I would educate yourself or hire a service, which isn't too bad. So I'll explain the piping here.
All right.
This is different. Most above ground pools do not have hard wiring, or I mean hard plumbing. So I got tired of the plastic
Right.
because it always was, it went out.
Yeah.
Leak. So these are your, what they call the exit tubes. This is actually sucking water out of the tube, out of the pool, filtering it, and then I'll show you the other side. So these gate valves, these gate valves you can open and close for the amount of volume you want to go through. This one I leave like this because it's this thing right here. Come over here, please.
Okay.
This thing is called a skimmer. So it takes everything off the surface and it skims it, fills it in the box.
Yeah.
Inside there, and I wrote this in the notes,
Okay.
I have 6 pieces of copper.
Okay.
What the copper does, copper piping, what the copper does, it kills algae.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, once the water gets, sometimes there's sediment in the pool, that just needs to be vacuumed out.
Right.
This can be adjusted for your water volume. Right now our water's like to the roof because we had that, we had 4 inches of rain.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, you were doing it yourself. On my hose, I have, you attach it to the bottom of this hose. I don't want to kill it. This thing comes, it will pull right out. I can do it. You attach the hose for cleaning onto this, and I have an actual weighted thing that sucks everything out. So you have to be inside and clean it by hand, but that's why I say hire a service.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cheap. So this one over here is the intake, or that's the intake. This is the outtake.
Okay.
So this creates, you can come over here. This creates that.
Oh.
Okay, this is flowing for 12 hours.
Okay.
And if you wanted to shut it off, there's 2 ways of shutting it off. I put this in here because with another quick release, if you ever have problems, you could just take this all off. This will actually shut it down as well. Like if you turn it, it'll close off the flow into the pool, or this is the main one, just shut it down.
Okay.
So real easy. This is just an extra port if they want to put sprinkler in or whatever, just tie into it.
Yeah.
So that's about the size of the pool operation. It's
Okay.
not difficult. So let's go back to over here. We've got, so let's say you're cleaning it yourself, and the hose, I'll show it to you. It's a big hose that runs out. I put this port because you do not want to run chlorine into your grass.
You'll kill it.
It kill it there in the doorknob.
Yep.
So this exits on the other side of the fence.
Okay. Nice.
So you can just put the hose in there, and what you're looking for on the water is when you first do it, you'll see it looking dirty, like sand and junk in it. Run it until it's clear.
Okay.
Then run back, shut it off, and that takes care of that issue.
Perfect.
So then we got all the piping for all the zone 2 runs right along the fence and underneath the flower bed. It's probably about 8 to 10 inches deep,
Okay.
along with the electrical wire.
Okay.
And it runs out to here. See that? There's another electrical outlet if you want to have if you ever want to build like have a barbecue out here instead of this or whatever. That's 110 coming in. Again, if you remember on the first part of the video,
Yep.
you power this up, turn this
Turn
on,
that on.
you got water.
Yep. Go back and turn it off.
Then go, yeah, when you're done, just turn it off. Again, the piping's gonna run right along the fence, along with another electrical wire.
Yep.
Whew, you got water. So what we did is we joined here, so in case there's ever a problem, we can take that off and we can figure out what's not working. That's a junction box.
Gotcha.
So it comes up and the junction box goes back out to the final outlet, which is right here.
Okay.
We had a fountain here, but we took it out and I ran a timer on this, and the fountain ran the same thing, whatever time you want it. So that's easy. That's another 110, and then from here, piping continues. To this outlet. This one and that one are tied together.
Okay.
So when you turn the pump on, you got to wait a little while because it's got to fill these back lines. You don't just have instant water like you do in the city because it's got to fill it up.
Right.
These can run independently. You can have this one working, that one not, vice versa. The reason I put this here is I didn't want to use city water to water plants or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
So it's cheaper to do that than to run whatever you want to run on it, or if you want to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that system.
Okay.
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 Then I put another system that's tied into the city. This is another form of a manifold. Looks goofy, but it works terrific. This pipe right here runs out to the edge of my flower bed with another gate valve. I'll show you that too.
Yep.
Turn this on, and just leave it on because it's pressure all the time. This is just hose ones that run hoses. So you just turn them on, turn them off. I leave that on all the time.
Okay.
So this is how I water like plants on the sprinkler systems. There's a sprinkler system right here and a sprinkler system right here. There's actually extra ports right here that aren't being used underground. So here's the little faucet that runs all this, and here just instant water. That's city water now, so that's different.
Yeah.
So you're paying for that every time.
Yeah. We use that.
And then the sprinkler system runs. I think it's right on the property, maybe a foot in from the property line. This is zone 4. So zone 4 has 1, 2, 3, I believe 4 heads that waters all this.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So then zone 2 is tied into the back and up front, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads that water all the front yard.
Okay.
Zone 1 is on the other side. It runs along the other side of the house and the front part over here, and then a trunk line goes underneath the driveway, which was
Difficult.
bear cat. Took me 2 days to get it underneath there. So it's all set. It's all worked. It's 3/4 inch. So you got quite a bit of feed. Got an inch line coming in, and everything feeds off of that.
Okay.
So that's about it on
That's
that improvement thing.
Okay.